What's up, everyone? Thank you for joining us today. I am Karissa Adkins.
And I'm Clara Capano.
And we are here to help you gain clarity and boss up to the next level of success. Are you ready to get real?
I am. I don't know about you, but I am ready to get real.
Yes, girl. Let's get real today.
You know, I have been so excited for this episode. We are talking about nutrition but the idea of nourishment, not just nutrition, and mind, body, and spirit. And I've been so excited for this because, you know, as a busy woman on the road, you know, I need to know how to make it easy for me to stay healthy, you know, both from a sanity level as well as a nourishment level.
Yes.
So we're going to be diving into all of that. And I know this is an area that you really are an expert in. So we're going to be able to highlight some of your tips and tools and strategies. But before we get into that, we're going to be a little unhealthy, and we're going to take it over to our best buddy over here, Dion. And Dion, what are you making for us today?
Hi, ladies. How's it going? Thanks for having me on the show. Today, we are going to do some really healthy imbibing. So we're going to have a strawberry smash. As you've probably seen, anywhere in America, you can find a strawberry smash. You can get it with gin. You can get it with vodka. You can also get it with whiskey. So I'm just going to start us out with a little bit of my homemade Demerara syrup. Now, this is made from sugar in the raw as opposed to granulated sugar.
Okay. I'm already liking that healthier version then.
Absolutely. I feel so, we're having fruit. I feel so healthy.
I just wanted to be on your team.
It's like, it's like a smoothie.
Then we're going to add a couple of mint, not mint, but basil from my garden.
My basil.
Our greenery.
Yes.
I love adding basil to everything if I can.
And I feel so special that you brought things from home for us. Thank you.
And then a couple of strawberries from my garden.
Okay.
Now that we've got that all together, what we're going to do is take a small amount of limoncello. This is also house-made.
That's the trick, Clara.
My sister makes
Homemade.
this. It's amazing.
Homemade. I would say the same thing with food.
It's Italian.
It is.
Bellissimo. All right, and then we're going to muddle that up nice and good. So muddling reduces the oils from anything plant-based. It also releases the sugars from strawberries.
Okay.
And I love these ingredients because, again, like you said, if you don't have a garden, you can find them really in any grocery
Very
store.
easily. All right, now that we're done with that part, and I'm going to move a little bit quicker, just for time's sake.
Take your time, but all I can see is all these healthy, delicious things. I'm excited.
We have our extremely healthy Absolute Helix. It's probably my favorite vodka on market today.
Really?
Yes.
Well, by all
easy
means,
to
we
find.
must try it then. If it's Dion endorsed, we must.
Yes.
And then we're going to finish this off with a small amount of fresh squeezed lemon juice. Dip. And dip.
Thinking why I like these so much is because they are, they're infused with like real flavors, but homemade flavors, and because all of his drinks that Dion makes us, have you noticed they all taste like phenomenal?
They're amazing.
He is a true crafter.
So again, viewers, you got to go to our website and get all the ingredients for these and make these on your own. So again, go to livingrealtv.com.
And we're just going to shake it.
It's like the music to our ears.
If you're wondering, that shake was courtesy of the Club Can't Handle Me by Flo Rida.
I was just going to say, what song were you thinking there?
You know I know.
Oh,
Look how pretty.
Oh, that's gonna be good.
I'm excited for this.
Every drop, he says.
We're just going to
The
put a
topper.
little sprig of basil on top of these. So, you know, normally you prune off the top of the basil so it doesn't create flowers. I find those flowers are great for
For the top.
garnishing. And we got our cocktails ready for you there, ladies. Thanks for having me on your show as always. I always appreciate it. It's
I'm
a wonderful
excited.
being
Thank you,
around
Dion.
You're welcome.
Well, I certainly am excited for this one. So
Yes.
cheers, girl.
Cheers to nourishment. Oof. Ooh, that's so fresh.
Ooh. Wow. Nice.
Nice work, Dion. This one's gonna stay with us. This one might get a little lower.
Yeah.
It is good.
Woo.
This was what did he say it was? A
Strawberry
smash.
smash. We loving the strawberry smash.
This is nourishing not only my soul, but
This is making me all
my
sorts of
body.
happy. So
I love it. I love it. Well, you know, I'm so excited to talk about nourishment, but I think before we dive into that and before we get to that, well, you know, let's do the question first. So I'm going to ask you first, and then I'm going to pick your brain on what you think the word nourishment means to you. But 3 things, Clara, that you just can't live without, girl.
well, I really hate to kind of make this like a thing, but I'm thinking I can't live without Dion at this point in time.
I love it.
But if he can't be with me,
yes.
let's see, 3 things I can't live without. I will have to be honest and say mascara. I love my eyes, and if I can just have a little bit of mascara, I feel a little bit more whole. The next one are my flip-flops. You know, I'm a beach girl. I love going to the beach, but also traveling. It just makes it so easy to just, you know, throw them on and go. So my suitcase always has some flip-flops in it. And then I would say after that, my passport, you know. I got to be ready to go. You never know when someone, you know, in Fiji may need me, just really need me to come and do a speaking gig there. So I got to be ready to go.
You'll be fully ready.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I've even got the flip-flops.
I got
for
the flip-flops.
Fiji.
I'm ready.
Like,
I'm ready to go.
Like
So-
a boss, like a boss. Let's see, 3 things. So I have to agree, mascara, because just a little pick me up on my face makes me feel 100 times better about how I'm, you know, showing up. So mascara is one of those ones that I would take, honestly. The second one would probably be protein. As much as I love Dion and his gorgeous, delicious drinks, I would have to take protein because as a fitness junkie, I need my protein to continue to stay strong and continue to build muscle. So I know it's kind of weird, but I would definitely take my powder protein with me. And the third one, I know it's not like a thing, but I would have to take like at least some person somewhere with me. I really thrive when I'm with another person. As much as I'm an extrovert and I love to be, you know, I'm also an introvert, but I think people in general like is needed. I think we need to feel connected. Doesn't matter, you know, maybe who it is, but people give me energy and people nourish me, you know, and if I was walking around on this earth alone, I would be so sad. So I would have to take somebody with me somewhere if I was going traveling anywhere. I want to experience Fiji with a friend, right? I want to experience somewhere cool with somebody so that we can talk about and have companionship. That's really probably goes into that 5 language of the love thing. I would really want someone in my life.
Absolutely. Well, maybe if we ask Dion real nice, he can find a drink with protein in it,
There
and then
you
you'll
go.
be set and ready to go.
I don't know. I've never mixed my alcohol with protein powder.
If anyone can do it, I'm sure he can.
It's one of those, right?
But we do
I
get
don't know.
fruit.
Yes.
So it's good.
Love it. Love it. Well, we are talking all about nourishment today, nourishing our mind, our body, and our spirit. And I think it's really an important conversation. So before we dive into obviously strategies and tips, I want to know, because we all have a different perspective on when we hear a word. So Claire, what is like, when you hear nourishment, what do you think about? Like what just comes
Well, I would think, you know, when I was younger, it would just be again about food. You know, kind of going to, you just have to eat healthy.
Yeah.
I would think now, as I'm just, you know, growing and learning, you know, I think about being the best version of myself. And I think nourishment is the way to fuel yourself so that you can be the best version of yourself. So for me, you know, I look at, I have an exercise that I run my people through, and it's called the 5 words exercise.
Okay.
And so what I do is I ask somebody, so let me ask you this.
Okay.
If you were to think about a moment that you were in the zone, okay, you know, we've all had that moment, we're just in the zone. Think about that time and what 5 words would you use to describe yourself in that moment? So don't overthink it, what 5 words?
Empowered, motivated, passionate, energized, and zone.
Okay, I love it. See, my 5 words are energized,
Okay.
passionate, prepared, genuine, and inspiring. You know, that is Clara when Clara is at her best.
Yeah.
So for me, nourishing myself, again, mind, body, and soul, is all about helping to make sure that I can show up as the best version.
I love that.
Did I pass the test? Did I
Yes,
get the answer right?
check.
I'm giving myself. There we go.
She said, I'm doing it myself. I love that. Yes. Well, like when I think, I'm a visual person. And I think of words, I think first thing that comes to mind with nourishment is like, have you seen like the energy bar that goes down and you're just like, So like I physically think everything that I put into my body or my mind, whether it's food or oils on my skin, it doesn't matter what it is, it's got to raise that bar back up like the thermostat. And when I am operating at my zone of genius, like I've put quality food in, I've moved my body, I've read books that have, just continued to bring that bar up. So I honestly, when I think nourishment, I'm like, fill me up, buttercup, right? Like fill the bucket. That's one of like a favorite book of mine a long time ago. It was like, how full is your bucket, I think. And it was it just stuck with me. And I've used that reference all. I'm like, fill your bucket up, girl. Like your bucket is empty and you need to nourish that thing. So
Absolutely.
I love it. Cool. Well, mindset. Let's just start with mindset.
Yeah. Because again, when we talk about nourishment, it's not just about the food. It's again how we feed our brains, and again, our brains really are where our programs live, and that's what leads to then the actions that get us the results that we want. So I think it's really important to talk about mindset. So, as a coach that works with a lot of women breaking through their limiting beliefs and doing this, what are some mindset tricks that you give to the women that you coach?
Well, the first one is always I have to get them to identify with a new identity. And I wasn't even planning on bringing up this one, but I think it's really important. So when you're trying to shift everything in your life, your habits, your routines, you have to first envision, and I know you'll appreciate that, right? Get clarity of what that version of you looks like.
Absolutely.
Like that highest power that, when you think of 5 words, like that is Karissa at her best.
Right.
Like you have to envision her. But then I think you have to start to adapt the mindset, the identity of who this badass is. You know what I mean? Like, who is she? What is she doing? What is she thinking? What is she feeling? So that you can tap into that through meditation. Like you can literally tap into that Supergirl, that Wonder Woman. So I think that some strategies would be to start obviously meditating or envisioning what that future version of you looks like that is super nourished, that's filled up completely. And I think when you start to shift I always say fake it till you make it. For years, I don't know about you if you've ever been in this situation, but for years I was told I was worthless and I was nothing and it was beaten into me, right? So then when I got out of that and I started to really grow myself and become a better version of me, I was like, if that could work for the negative, then it can sure as heck work for the positive. So like everything that I do, like I was I was saying boss up before I even had a business boss up, like I was saying all these words that I didn't know what meant, but like I started to identify as the woman, like I am healthy, even though I'm not there yet.
Right.
I am healthy and I'm improving and all these things. So I felt like if I can start to be my own cheerleader within my own mindset, I will then start to believe it. So
Absolutely.
I plant the seeds.
Yeah. And that's
you?
really interesting. And, in one of the classes that I teach, we talk about the formula for results, again, in life or business. And it starts with, again, the programs that we have, which leads to our thoughts, which leads to our beliefs, causes us to act, and then gets us the results. And I think the nourishment of the mindset, it's all about, again, changing those programs so that we see the abundance. And these words of affirmation, first getting clear again on that vision. Who is it you want to become?
Right.
And then identifying, and one of the things that I do for my mindset is I do written affirmations daily. And so I write down, I go to that vision, so some of the affirmations that I'm writing now are, I am a paid, sought out paid speaker. I am a New York Times bestselling author, so I write down these words because it gets into your mindset and it really helps you bring that energy forth to nurture.
Think of that field, right, of like sunflowers or something, and you have to first kind of plow it and mix up the dirt and get all ugly with it. And then you go and you plant those seeds. And those are the thoughts. Those are the who am I? What does she think? What is she doing in her life? And then you start to nourish it with the
Right.
stuff, which we're going to talk about today, but like nourishing with like books and meditations and visualizations. And just, you have to feed that monster, that lioness, right? That's in there.
Yeah.
And then I think then it grows. And then that's who we boss up and we keep doing things. But I think it all starts with a mindset.
Yeah.
Mindset shifting.
Can we talk about this meditation thing? Because I really struggle with it. And I know from studying people, I know it works. I really struggle with it. And I've heard so many different things. I've heard there's all these different types of meditation. You have to go on a retreat. You have to have a guided one. You've got to listen and you've got to chant. You know, what? Talk to me. You know, for someone who's really busy and who's maybe starting out, and it can be kind of intimidating, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Well, I think people go in it with the wrong expectation. I always hear women say, I have a hard time shutting off my brain.
Yeah, I
and
do.
reality check, Clara, you can't shut off your brain, girl, you'd be dead. So let's just shift the expectation of what it really is. It's not us shutting anything off, right? Our bodies they're beautiful. They need to be functioning for us to function. So just breaking down meditations, it's like there's guided. There's just straight up like listening to nature sounds and just being with one. So I think the biggest thing to start off with is to start small, right? You said you start with, 2 or 3 minute? Yeah. So that's where I started. I mean, I'm no, oh my gosh, what is her name? Gabby Bernstein. She is like the meditation like junkie. But I have also realized in 2019, I made the goal. I said, okay, I'm reading all these studies about meditation. I don't really know how to do it. I'm overthinking it, of course. I'm thinking, what apps do I need? What do I need a pillow to sit at? You know, like all these fancy things that we see. But I just made a goal in November. I joined her meditation manifestation program. It was like $12 a month, well worth my investment. Thank you very much. But it all started out very small. It was just, and I personally love guided meditations because I think that that's the easier meditation. If I'm walking you through an exercise, just like you walk through your clients through like a visualization process, like a vision thing, getting clarity, it's easy for someone to imagine something that they can't imagine yet when someone's telling a story. Am I right? So I always say start with guided, start small. And the reason why I bring up 29 is it was my goal to just meditate for 5 minutes. And trust me, I laid on my office floor and I'm like, this is stupid. It's not working. Is this working? Do I feel different? Am I supposed to feel different?
Yeah,
am I doing this right?
That's exactly what I do.
Oh my gosh, I was overthinking it, right? And it just, but like anything, with practice becomes, you get really good, you know? And so it went from 2 minutes to 5 minutes to 10 minutes. Now I make my spiritual practice. Really, it's a full 45 to 60 minute routine in my morning every day, but only 20 minutes or less is a meditation. Okay. Because that practice at the end of the day is just, it's feeding, it's nourishing. Sure. It's like a nourishment hour for my mind. So it's meditation, it's hypnosis tracks, it's reading, it's journaling. It's my time to set the intention for the day and then roll with it. And I think that I show up better as a coach and as a speaker when I do that before I open up a laptop. Absolutely. I don't just dive in. Yeah. So just really quickly on that 3 minute though, if you don't have, so there are some great apps, right? Insight Timer is where I started. Okay. There's a free version. Of course, there's an upgraded one. But they have anything from just relaxation tracks to fall asleep. They have abundance meditations. So you kind of pick your time you have. You pick if you want guided or music. You pick nature. There's another one. You mentioned affirmations. So there's an app called I Am.
I have
Yes, girl!
Love my app.
Right? Like all of these things, but you take those affirmations because so many women have a hard time thinking of an affirmation. And we could break that down if we wanted to, but we don't. We don't have to when it says, what are you involved with? And then I just take that phrase that really sat with me that morning that it goes off at 5 a.m. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to lay down and I'm just going to feel it. I'm going to feel how that affirmation feels in my body. Right. So I love it. It has changed my life drastically. I truly believe that if I've got sales calls stacked tomorrow, I'm listening to a guided meditation on success and breakthrough.
So you can, again, tailor it to the area of growth that you want to focus on.
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you
Yes.
this, because I do travel quite a bit for, outside of when I'm doing TV, I'm on the road doing trainings and speaking. So I'm in hotel rooms, I'm constantly on planes. What are some of the things either I should bring with me, or are there ways that, I'm not in the same space, so how can I make meditation work for me on the road?
But you have to make it work. It's not going to work for you.
Okay.
Right? It's not going to be like, well, I'm here. Why is it not showing up? It has to become like a non-negotiable. Because I feel like meditation and any mindfulness practice, let's not even put meditation on there, because people think, they think like Buddha's, like it's like, okay, I've got to be calm and I've got to do this for hours. So just creating a mindfulness practice, no matter where you are, can be flexible. Like it could be your favorite place on the beach, just taking time for yourself, leaving the phone in the room. It's even if I go down to the gym, like today, I didn't have a full hour, but I spent 3 minutes at the gym, laying on the ground, breathing, and just breathing. That's what it could be, as simple as breathing. We all need to do that. And when we breathe, it takes the stress off and we put oxygen back into our bodies. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, I can kind of handle anything today. Like I just breathe.
I almost kind of envision this can also be a reset button. So yes, everybody talks about doing it in the morning, which I think is great. But I also think like if you're feeling stressed out during the day or off kilter, or maybe you had a sales call that didn't go well, you could take that 2 minutes to sort of reset yourself and get your energy ready for the second half of the day.
You've got to hit the reset. I mean, you have to decide like when, I think, in any habit, I love habits, girl, you know that. So when we get to that episode, we'll break down that for sure, but you have, like anything, you have to make it a habit. So you have to say, okay, regardless if I have 10 minutes today or 2, I'm doing it at this time. Like that's the best way to just start. So if it's 4 o'clock and that's your power like off from work hour, like do it, right? Yeah. If it's right before bed because you have trouble sleeping and unwinding and shutting off the work because you're thinking of all the stuff you have to do tomorrow, it's a great mindfulness to bring you back into reality of, okay, what's important? My sleep's important, everything. So
I have another question, since we are talking about nourishment. There are foods that can nourish your mind.
Yeah.
What would you say are some, energy foods, some power foods that you can use to nourish your mind?
Well, I'd say the smash cocktail would nourish us.
Let's see if it works.
But yeah, what do you think you need more of in your life for drinking? What do we all probably need more of?
I'm gonna guess water.
Ding, ding, dang, right? Like when we don't have enough water, I mean, water is powerful, as silly as this is. Water is powerful. It's not just great for our joints, it's not just great for our mind, but it's great for just like, it fully flushes everything, toxins out of our body. So water, at the end of the day, keep it simple, right, Clara? Press the easy button and drink more water.
So since there's ice in here,
you're covered.
We're covered. We're good.
We're covered.
Okay.
All right. So water, right? Okay. Water intake. Like a little tip there would be to get yourself a jug. Like something that's 25 ounces or 30 ounces, because that's the next thing is like, how much do I need? But really simple is if you weigh 120 pounds, the recommendation is half of your body weight in ounces. So you would want to strive for 60 ounces of water a day. However, that's not counting you sweating, you working out.
So it does depend on what you're
climate.
doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So just at the end of the day, water is going to energize us. Okay. It also helps keep headaches away, dehydration. I mean, think of all that. We could continue talking about water. But we've got bananas. And, bananas are really great in potassium. They're great for our mind. So if you can add that banana to a smoothie, add your protein, call it a day.
So what does the potassium do for our brain?
I don't know that one for sure. I just know that it helps keep us clear. And I think at the end of the day, it's just food. So many women are just not
hungry.
eating.
Yeah.
They're not eating.
Right.
And so then their brain is in a different mode. It's running on empty, right? It's on fumes.
So that's a great way to energize us, and it's sort of the gas
bananas
that we
give
put
us
in our day.
a lot of energy. Maybe not necessarily, like I'm thinking blueberries are more for the mind. There are certain things, but at the end of the day, food gives us energy. And when we have
quality
energy,
food.
yes,
quality food.
You're right, girl. Yeah, because the whole medium-sized pizza is actually going to make me fall asleep. Let's see. So we've got bananas and apples. I think a big thing for the brain is fatty fish. So think salmon, mackerel, anything that's like an oilier, fattier fish. Those are not only healthy for us, they're good brain foods, they're good joint foods. So when people are like, I have a lot of a high inflammation, I can't walk, it hurts to go up the steps, I'm always like, add some omega-3 fatty acid, like omega-3s. So that is the salmon, but I get it. Not everyone is a seafood lover like me. So there's like the little thing called a supplement comes into play.
I was going to ask you about supplements and what your thought is. I mean, obviously the food, when it's a healthy version, is the best. But if not, like for me traveling, I can't always get these things.
Sure.
So being able to sometimes have those.
Absolutely. So I mean, and I don't. If I have salmon, I don't need the fish oil that day.
Sure.
But if not, I'm taking the fish oil because I need it more I'm like, joints, please, right? Like as I got older, I'm like, my joints, I love my burpees, but without my fish and omega-3, it's not happening. Some complex carbs. At the nitty-gritty, carbs are
what is a complex carb? Can you just break it down?
It takes us longer, it takes our body's most simplest form, it takes our bodies longer to break down that carb. Okay. So instead of white rice, brown rice, whole wheat versus white bread. So complex, like some of my favorite complex carbs, sweet potato versus a regular potato. So not that a regular potato is bad. Food is not bad, right? Like let's just put that out there. Food is meant for us to enjoy, and it's there to nourish us, it's there to fuel us. But there are certain foods that are going to take us longer to digest and break down. Therefore, our body has to move faster, right, to do that. And so good complex carbs helps the brain, helps the body. And carbs give us energy.
Sure.
Carbs give us energy.
Absolutely.
We can, definitely keep talking about it, but I want to make sure that we have enough room and space in today's show for all the other goodness and the strategies and the tips.
So you're saying it's time to take a break?
I think it is.
I've been enjoying this. I can't wait to come back after the break and learn more. I have so many questions.
Yes.
All right, viewers. Well, go ahead and hit that pause button. We are going to be back in just a few moments and be able to continue our discussion on nourishment. Again, nourishing our mind, our bodies, and our souls. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
365 Daily Hustle, a global health coaching company helping purpose-driven women boss up and get healthy so that they can truly show up and thrive in the world. We help women lose weight, gain energy, and feel sexy and confident. We do all of this by helping our clients create and build healthy, sustainable habits that support a positive mindset, healthy nutrition, exercise, stress management, and of course, self-care. If you're tired of feeling like a failure when it comes to your body and health goals, please visit our website at 365dailyhustle.com.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We are here talking about nourishment, and we have just talked about some of the foods. We've talked about water and how that's great for nourishing our mind. But tell us some other things that we can do to nourish our mindset.
So when I think mindset, just think just like food, right? It goes into our body. So think of your mindset as what you put in is what you get out. And so I love my meditation, but not every woman, you have a hard time doing 2 or 3 minutes, and it will get better, I promise, Clara, if you keep practicing it every day. But there are so many other things that we can do, I think, to nourish our mind, whether it's books that we read, whether it's the social media that goes into our heads. I mean, have you ever went to bed to CNN talking about some world crises and then you can't sleep that night?
Absolutely. I haven't watched the news in 7 years because it's just negativity and
I don't
fear.
even have cable TV, for goodness sake. So I'm like, I really don't feel the effects of that one, but so many people fall asleep to something negative, the news, I remember when the pandemic hit, and every Zoom meeting I was on, you could hear and see the news station behind it. So just think about, these are all just messages going into our brain, filling our brains either with panic or with ease and fun stuff.
And I think it's worth mentioning again, we mentioned it in an earlier episode, that again, your brain is most susceptible to thought the first 20 minutes of the day and the last 20 minutes, which is when most people are watching things like the news. And so I think this is the importance of, again, doing your meditation, doing your personal growth, either as part of your morning routine or or in addition to your evening routine.
Yeah.
So that, again, you're sort of sandwiching the start and the end time with positive nourishment for your brain.
Yes, and I mean, you have meditation, of course. We mentioned books and TV and media, but social media. I mean, our phones, they're at our hands. Like, people are falling asleep with their phones, scrolling through Pinterest, you know, or liking or hearting Instagram stories. So, I mean, like, everything is bringing either, again, information in or out. So you have to really be careful what you're allowing in. But I think another big thing with our mindset is people. We can, like, I don't want to, can you think of, do you agree that, like, some people can have a negative, they're so negative and they talk to you so differently, and they can make you a negative person?
Absolutely. And, you know, it's, again, we become a product of who we spend our time with. And I say that there are certain people who you can feel the energy when they're coming into the room, and there's other people you feel the energy rise when they leave the room.
Yes.
And it's the same thing. You know, birds of a feather tend to flock together.
Yes.
And I know one of my mentors has always said, there are people that you should have associations with, limited associations with, and disassociations with. And I think it's something to be aware of. And in fact, there was a time when I was going through my big burnout where I was not very fun to be around. And I actually had one of my kind of friends, and she came to me and she says, you know, I kind of need to take a break from you right now because you're very negative and it's impacting me. And that was another moment. I mean, you think, how harsh is that? But it was another moment because I didn't realize it. And, you know, several years later, I saw her at a conference, and I said, so can we hang out now? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I told her. And I said, you know, that was a really beautiful gift that you gave me because I didn't realize it.
And I mean, I like to say that these people they're vampires. They suck your energy dry, and they will help shift your mindset in such a great, like us, right? We can collaborate, we can empower, we can just rise above and go. Or I could be sitting here negative and talking about all the negative stuff in our lives, and eventually you would either, if you stuck with it long enough, you would become a negative Nancy,
Absolutely.
right? So yeah, I felt that was really important to go back, because it's not all about the meditation. It's about everything that we hear and see, and sometimes we got to do a detox of people, for sure.
So let's shift the conversation over to food. Because again, you know, you've mentioned that food is not a bad thing, but it's hard. You know, it's hard because we're busy, you know, we could be on the road. So many women are, you know, racing from this point to that point. You know, let's talk about some of not just the best foods that we should be using to feed our body, but how can we make it easy? What are some like things that you should have in your pantry? What are some snacks that you should have in your car? Like, tell me realistically, what are some things that, cause I mean, there's so many things, you know, you hear eat eggs, don't eat eggs. And you hear, you know, eat this, don't eat that, eat dairy, don't eat dairy. You know, talk to me, what are some of the best things and, you know, easy go-to things?
Easy go things. So if I'm thinking in my pantry, easy go-to, they're staples, right? It used to be like mac and cheese and pizza, like staples. As an overweight mom, that was my staples. Like, do I have everything of that? But at the end of the day, it goes back to a thing I can't live without. So I feel like every pantry needs a good quality protein, whether it's animal-based, plant-based, whether it's actual meat in the fridge, or a protein powder that you can quickly pour into a shaker, shake it up like Dion, and take it back, right? Like, so protein, like protein. I'm a huge believer in protein.
So just to break it down, because you know, this is not my area. Why is protein so important to us?
So protein helps keep builds our muscle.
Okay.
And even if you don't want to have like guns, you know, galore, or look like the Hulk, like we still need protein, whether you're vegan or whether, you know, you eat meat. Like I'm from Nebraska, we eat meat. And I need it, but protein, yes, protein obviously has different parts in there without getting super scientific, but our bodies need certain things from protein.
Okay.
And if you don't have enough protein, then it is hard to function properly.
Okay.
Like protein in the morning is a huge, like rule number one, have that protein. It's going to keep you fuller longer. Okay. You know what I mean? So protein is really good.
So what are some easy grabby snacks for protein? Because again, if I'm on the road, I can't necessarily have a baked chicken in my car.
Yes.
So what are some things I can have in my purse, in my car?
So you're gonna think that maybe it's funny, maybe it's extreme, but you know, when I was in marketing, I was rarely in the office. In fact, that was a rule that my boss said. He's like, Karissa, your job is to be anywhere and everywhere. So you get out, and I was like, I eat 6 meals a day and 4 of them are here. Like what? You know, so I am going to argue that if you want to eat food throughout the day and you've got one of those jobs, is that yes, you can. I was the girl, unfortunately, that would bring the cooler with her on the golf outings, and I would have my cute little portioned stuff, you know, my chickens or whatever, because I don't believe in like drinking all your protein. But I will say easy go-to protein is a protein, like a protein shake, is a smoothie. Protein is, gosh, it's in so many different things. You can get protein from quinoa. You can get protein. It's just like, it's not a ton, like it's not like going to be a chicken breast like amount of protein, but protein is in so many different types of foods, beans. I'm not a huge fan of bars, and I won't name specific things because there's so much added, like there's so much other things, but that's the media that says, hey, this bar is a healthy bar, it's a keto bar, whatever it is.
Well, and it's still maybe better than eating cookies or chips.
It's better than eating nothing.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So there's a time and a place for it. So again, you got to kind of pick.
Yes, but you know, I always have almonds in my car. I always have like cranberries, something, you know, that's kind of sweet. I always, girl, I know you, like you, I brought my protein with me, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I've got a shaker cup full of protein. Like, so that it's just, stop making excuses about how you can't get your protein in, because it's everywhere, honestly. And I'm not saying you were, but so many women are like, I can't eat on the go.
So you're not calling me out because I don't have my protein shaker here with me?
No, absolutely not. But if you know you need protein, eat your protein, right? Stop at a gas station, stop somewhere and get a chicken breast. I mean, there's so many restaurants that do actually have a side of chicken you can get if you wanted to do that. I'm not saying that, but protein's a huge one for my pantry. It's a pantry staple. Complex carbs, those quinoas. So instead of like cereals and stuff like that, I have like oatmeal. I have sweet potatoes in there all the time, because you never know when you got to bake up one of those suckers. But anyways, yeah, those would be the go-to snacks. I'm always grabbing almonds, raisins, popcorn.
And I love what you say that, you know, if this is something that you really want to do, again, you have to commit to doing it. I know that now when I'm on the road, one of the things I really work to do is that when I fly into a town, if I'm going to be there for several days, I actually go to the store and I buy things and I keep them in the hotel, and then I'm the weird girl that brings my own lunch and everything like that. But I mean, I definitely know that it has, you know, impacted me and, you know, how I show up in doing those.
And us women, we need muscle, right? We need to be strengthening that, because as we get older, I mean, if we fall, we need to make sure that we have the strength to get up. If you know, we need that, and we need to get past the fact that, you know, my life's just too busy to eat properly, because that's a bunch of BS.
Yeah. So let's talk about going to the grocery store. So we talked about proteins, we talked about doing that. Are there any other, you know, tips when you're at the grocery store, things that you should look for, or specific things you should avoid?
Well, every time I do a grocery tour with a client, whether it's virtually or in person, I always remind them, you know, that everything we almost need is on the outside of the aisle. So you have to think veggies, proteins, dairy, you know, like all of that is the outside.
Interesting.
So it's rare when you need to go in the aisles for things. It really is, but now they've put all the gluten-free stuff in, so I do go into the aisles, don't get me wrong. But if you have a hard time steering away from the chips and the little Debbies and stuff like that, like get out of the aisle, right? So just stick to whole foods, which is quality proteins, you know, fresh veggies. I always say eat the rainbow. So when you're shopping, get colorful food. Color is good. Color. Queens eat color.
Okay. So let me ask you this, a question for you. Are there any signs, like you said, you know, if you need protein, are there any signs that we could look for that maybe could show us, like brain fog in the afternoon, or, you know, are there some kind of warning lights that we should be paying attention to that could show us that we maybe are deficient, or that we should be drinking more water? You know, you mentioned headaches earlier, other things that come up for you.
Yeah, so headaches are a big one for a lot of dehydration, but I look at it as if you're craving something. So when I'm stressed, I tend to crave salty like all the time. I'm not I cannot relate with women who are like, oh, I just need my chocolate. I have a hard time with that. But again, give me those Cool Ranch Doritos, popcorn, peanuts. But like, and I'll be honest, I was like, I thought I got Doritos and then I completely lost the train of thought here.
I know Doritos tend to take us off track every
Dang,
time.
Cool Ranch Doritos.
So yeah, are there warning signs
Warning
or lights?
signs. Okay, yeah. So cravings. Those are your warning
Okay.
signs. If you are craving certain foods after dinner, right? Like you need to ask yourself, is this dessert? Is it been trained? Is it a habit? Or am I craving something sugary? So many women tend to shove the cravings down. I mean, just yesterday I was somewhere and the gal said, oh, my coworker, she licks a block of salt when she's craving to eat. And I said, I never heard of this one. She said, yeah, it just turns her off for food. And that's not the healthiest way to go about it. But I always said, well, it's kind of like when I wanted to stop biting my nails, right? I dipped them in something gross so that when I don't get that, but she's pretty much trying to tell her body she's ignoring those signals. Something is wrong. Something is off. If you're craving certain things besides, like something is you're not getting enough of. And that's where then supplements come into place if you're not going to eat properly and clean. Yeah.
Another question I have for you is this idea of nourishing, and this was something that I've struggled with. Is again the idea that we have to eat, and sometimes we have to eat more. And so I think there's also this thing of, are we supposed to fast? Are we supposed to eat 6 small meals a day? What is the recipe for this?
The recipe is figure out what works for you. I am an anti-dieter all day long. Like when my clients come to me, some of them are on keto, and if it works for you, then we don't change what works, right? So many women are like chasing something next. They either chase something, whatever's next, because we've been programmed to find what's next. I mean, think about it. We had like cabbage diets and then the Atkins diet. Like all these diets keep coming out because it too is a 40, 50 million or billion dollar marketing industry. And so they want us to keep chasing the next major fad. So I'm not a huge fan of diets. However, you can come to me and say, Karissa, this really works for me. And I'm like, great, then we're not changing the recipe for success, right? Like that's your body, you know how you feel best.
Yeah.
I think it's important to understand which foods are good for your body and kind of diagnosing that. But
I love what you're talking about how you're feeling, because I know that there have been certain diets that I've done and I have lost the weight.
Sure.
But I didn't feel right. I felt tired or I felt sluggish, so it's again, I think you have to look at all sides of it. It's not just one size fits all. And it may be that this works for you now and it may not work for you later in life.
Right.
So let's talk also about nourishment as it comes to, maybe even age. Are there certain things that we should be paying attention to, as we age?
I think it goes back to the body.
Okay.
Because what you could eat 10 years ago, Clara, you may not be able to eat now.
It's really unfair. Can you do something about that? Because I really don't like that.
Yes, I mean, I grew up eating eggs and gluten and dairy and all these things, but now, because of all these toxins and life and stress like nobody's business, our bodies change just like we do. Our hair changes every couple of years, like our whole cells kind of rejuvenate. So it's like what may have worked doesn't work now because you're still trying to like live in that past. So you have to be open and I think willing to try new things. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's not the diet. It's not the quick fix. I'm telling you, I've lost close to 100 pounds and I've never been on a diet. And that's why it's sustainable, is I'm eating everything in balance. Like I've learned to eat for what my body needs, nothing more, nothing less. When I'm done, push it away, right? I'm not now shoving food in my mouth because I went through lots of coaching and healing to do that. But so yeah, I think that's another hot topic that I get are food swaps. Right?
Oh, tell me about that.
Because they're like, should too much of this, too much of that? Easy food swaps, I think for any woman on the go would be, like, personally, I take off one side of the bun. We don't need 2 buns, right? Like bun.
But you're still getting to have like the hamburger or the sandwich, but again,
Absolutely.
a trade-off a little bit.
Yes, it's the trade-off.
I could do that. I could get rid of the bun, half of the bun.
So instead of like a tortilla shell, because a lot of people think tortilla shells are healthier than a big piece of bread or something like that, I always say swap for a giant, gorgeous thing of lettuce, like a big lettuce head. Think chicken lettuce wraps, all of those fun things you can do. Jimmy John's has you can find health anywhere. You just have to be willing to that's, I think, the bigger thing is you have to be disciplined enough to choose the healthier option. Health is everywhere. Health is a choice. Dark chocolate versus milk chocolate for any of you chocolate fans out there. Personally, I do a lot of cauliflower rice instead of regular rice. Again, rice is not bad, but my body says, Karissa, rice is not the best for you. So you have to figure out what your body likes. It all goes back to that. dark greens over light greens. So
Okay,
I grew up
explain
with
that.
Yeah, I grew up with like iceberg lettuce. Okay, like dressing doesn't even stay on iceberg lettuce. It's so white and it's so like mwah. I love salads, and not because they're healthy, but because like I just love the way they taste. But so dark greens, think spinaches, arugula, you know, like different types of greens. So the best thing is get that box that's mixed. You know, don't go for the 99-cent head. There's a reason why it's 99 cents versus a couple extra dollars. Healthy doesn't have to be expensive either, but it's just like know what's worth your swap, you know?
Yeah, and I do want to kind of hit on that because I think sometimes people think healthy, organic, have to spend a lot of money.
No. In fact, what I think is spending too much money is going out to eat, right? It's, oh, I didn't plan today, so I didn't prep anything or bring anything, so I guess I've got to go through X. And then you're now spending time, you're wasting your time, you're now getting something that you may not have wanted to begin with, right? Like instead of your chicken dinner or, you know, some gorgeous Korean bowl at home, you are going through McDonald's out of convenience now.
Right.
And so I think that's, it's not, I literally food prep 50 meals for about $75.
Did you
and
say
about
50?
Yeah.
50?
50.
For $75.
Roughly. And it takes me about an hour and a half to do.
Wow.
So there is no excuse. But just like meditation, you have to practice at food prep. And then all of a sudden you're like, I can make 50 meals in about an hour and a half for about $80. And I'm not eating junk. I'm not even just eating brown rice, what most people think, like rice and chicken. Like, that's boring. No wonder you.
Well, and that's part of the problem is I think sometimes we, you know, go to these things and then we eat them, and then after 2 weeks we're like,
boring.
and then we cave.
Yeah. You've got to keep things fun and flexible, and you don't. It doesn't need to be 5-star course meals because at the end of the day, food is fuel. But yeah, like 7 to 4 p.m. Those are just meals to fuel my body, to nourish my body. I can have a gorgeous dinner at night that I've put tons of preparation into if I wanted to. Yeah, other than that, like I think the only thing that I would love to just chat about, because you know, you and I, we're go-getters, right? We're flying everywhere, we're all over the time. And I think it's important just to kind of give you some strategies, if that's cool with you. I think that's big. So if you are a traveler and you're like, how do you stay healthy while you travel? It goes down to, like, it's a five tips, if you will. Tip number 1 is to take the snacks with you, right? So if you just said when you get into town, you find a grocery store, right? We if our hotel doesn't have a fridge, we ask for one. So don't be afraid to like ask for what you need. They will provide. And if not, then you bring a cooler if you have to. You know, like you have to be willing and disciplined enough to want to follow through on what you want your goals to be like. So I would say take your snacks with you if you can. Airport food is terrible. Like there's not a lot of gluten-free options. There's not a lot of high protein options at airports besides boiled egg, stuff like those grab and goes. So I will always have that bag of protein, and you can get a water bottle anywhere, you know. So take your snacks, some of their snacks with you. If you're on a golf course, take your healthy snacks with you. It doesn't matter. You don't have to be traveling. I'm just saying if you need to be, your environment needs to be prepared for the success you want to have. And if you don't have that, that's huge. The second thing that I think people are totally missing out on is the plan. I feel like if you don't have a plan when you travel, you're bound to fail, right? And I probably think you'd relate to that. But you know, what did I do? I bring my workout book. I have a plan. So when I wake up in the morning, I know what I'm doing. The big difference when you're traveling is that you need to be flexible with the plan. I think that's huge. It's fine to be structured, but what happens when you get there and the gym is closed because of COVID, right? You're like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? So flexibility is really key when you're traveling. It's not a matter of, I normally strength train. It's a matter of this is the time, this is the hour that I normally work out. So it's got to be like, I was in LA and the gym was closed, and instead of lifting or doing cardio, which I could have ran, but I hate running. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do some yoga out by the pool. And that was what I needed that day. So plan, and then, you know, check your expectations and be flexible with that. I think the third thing is prepare and pack for success. So if you want to be healthy and stay healthy while you're vacationing or out traveling, you better bring your tennis shoes and you better bring the yoga pants, and you wouldn't show up to the meeting without the briefcase.
Right.
So why are you showing up for your life without your toolbox of success for health? Get your iPod or get your headphones, your music. So people don't need the book, like the fitness book like me, but that's what I preach.
Right.
So that's what I do. So you've got to pack for success. 4 would be, I guess it goes back to 4, I think, is the tip of its flexibility.
Yeah.
You gotta be flexible. Like maybe today, I know you said earlier, before we started the show, you said, I didn't get it in today, but we could wrap up early and I'm gonna go get my workout later. So you have to be flexible when you're traveling with the environment plus your time. And then the 5th thing is the 80-20 rule. It's probably my favorite rule. Because yes, like we can have an amazing dinner at night, but I've got to then stay focused. Like 80% of my food, 80% of what goes into my mind is good, and then the rest is that Law and Order, right? Like it's that guilty pleasure. Yeah, so those would be like just tips to help women travel and be the boss babe and the healthy queen that they are.
And I would agree, again, the being prepared has been a game changer for me, especially at airports, because I get delayed all the time or I have to change gears. So having some of those snacks, and again, it's very easy to just go to the store and get them and have them in there. I can't obviously take a cooler with me on the plane, but having some of those snacks have been, really, really helpful. I love the idea of, you got to plan for your success. And definitely the flexibility. One of the things that I have is I have strength training bands, and a lot of times those are what go in my suitcase. So when I'm on the road, I can always do a workout in my room if I can't get into the gym. To be able to do those. And I think just you got to be kind to ourselves. Again, it doesn't have to be 100%. I think so many times we beat ourselves up. We go out and we're like, okay, we are on the road. I'm gonna go to McDonald's or Bojangles, and we're like, I messed up. And it's like, okay, that was just today. That was just an image in time. Let's get back on our plan tomorrow. So thank you for watching today's episode. We hope it inspired you to take action in real life. We wish you abundance and happiness. And remember, you can watch all of our episodes on motivationandsuccesstv.com. Until next time, keep living real.